Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. And this is Solitude by Gordon A. Glennie, F.R.C. An article from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 10, Number 11, February 1932. Solitude by Gordon A. Glennie, F.R.C. Antisthenes answered the question as to what he had gained from philosophy by replying, "To be able to endure my own company." Many of us may be at variance with the teachings of the renowned Cynic, but nevertheless, this commentary exemplifies an interesting theory. To obtain a true perspective of the vicissitude of things, one must appreciate the attributes of solitude. The homogeneity of mankind and the oneness from which we are all reflected make us somewhat immune from social isolation. But, to quote Bacon, little do men perceive what solitude is. A coward is not company. Faces are but a gallery of pictures, and talk but a tinkling of cymbals where there is no love. However much or little a student may acquire from the Rosicrucian teachings, he at least perceives the significance of solitude. We may canvass archives or search dusty libraries of antiquity. We shall always find that from the echoes of solitude came wisdom, understanding, ideas, and abundant desires. But today, we are not so prone to seek solitude. The whirl of materialism and the rapidity of changes have lessened our hours of seclusion. There is a popular fallacy that we must perpetually ponder to companionship. It is a very strange imperfection. Man is sometimes measured by the company he keeps. So is he sometimes measured by his endurance of solitude. To a mystic, the term solitude is ambiguous. It is generally conceded by the mundane as a state of loneliness, or perhaps a condition adopted for viewing sinister fancies. But beyond the outer veil of isolation, there is no solitude in this sense of the term. The object of companionship is not to elude solitude. This is a fault so adamant in present society. Solitude has been sacrificed for companionship, regardless of the fact that each has its place. Without companionship, there would be no society, and this, as well as solitude, is a necessity to mankind. Companionship advances a foundation for intellectual union. It is a vehicle for the interchange of ideas and expression, but it also has very definite limitations. Beneath the crust of society and all our domestic relations lies a depth wherein these properties themselves are lost. We can go so far in our constant contact with friends and companions. Then we reach a point of saturation. We become mentally exhausted. Ideas are lacking, and we fail to entertain. Weariness and lethargy are evident, and sheer fatigue compels us to serve our contact and rejuvenate the body and mind with solitude or sleep. Undoubtedly, many persons would acquire more lasting friendships if discretion were applied to their contacts. Before the era of telephones and modern transportation facilities, many individuals, particularly those of progressive inclinations, were greatly indebted to the distances that separated them from their friends. We do not decry the privileges which science has advanced, but we might ask ourselves whether we are using them with discretion. Beyond a certain period, continuous contact with other persons becomes a dedicated strain upon the mental and physical vitality. We have only to mingle with crowds to witness the devitalizing effect. Owing to the versatile nature of the mind, it demands solitude of object and subjective qualities. If it is deprived of this freedom, the intellect is suppressed. Expressions become garbed with platitudes instead of originality, and the inner consciousness is not revealed in its true perspective. This inference may be a paradox to those unlearned in solitude, but only analysis will establish the assertion. Thousands of persons would verge on the abyss of insanity if they were deprived of companionship for 3 days in a week. They must always have someone to share their conscious hours. When conversation is at a premium, the theater or other entertainment is at refuge. Their minds must be continually active, but they cannot do it alone and be happy. Solitude is to them a nightmare because they have feared it rather than loved it, and henceforth they encounter the limitations of companionship. It requires systematic intelligence to amuse oneself. And when this quality is lacking or undirected, we seek to be amused rather than to amuse. We must remember that it is within the limitations of society that mankind manifests all that the mundane world may perceive. But it is beyond the limitations of society that mankind creates the foundation of that which shall be revealed to the world. Conversation is an experiment, and actions are the affinity of premeditation or spontaneous desires. These two properties reveal our outward expression of understanding, but their inception is ordained within the vital precincts of solitude, which, as an essential part of our development, must be assimilated with our other phases of evolution. The ancient civilization had a remarkable appreciation of the solitude. Likewise, all the world's greatest masters in art and science, commerce and industry, they were guilty of seeking the sequestered nooks of nature to escape temporarily the contact of humanity. Here, Emerson, who says, "I have seen many a philosopher whose world is large enough for only one person." Whether or not this fragment savors of egotism, it is evident that such philosophers prefer their mono-world to the frequent flow of panegyrics and incoherent excursions so prevalent in modern society. It would be impractical, of course, to insinuate that we should approach the other extreme and entirely disassociate ourselves from ordinary human contact. There is a vast difference between the lives of hermits and those of persons constantly seeking companionship and entertainment. In all things we undertake there must be a balance and reciprocity if we desire success. Solitude is not a utopia wherein fantasies are met to prevail upon our capricious desires. Neither is it a limbo for pacifying the qualms of conscience or suffering the vengeance of nemesis. It is a definite realm wherein the powers of unmanifested creation await the intuitive faculties of mankind. We shall always hear arguments that this abstractness provokes skepticism, but is that not a trait common to all mankind? Surely we are manifesting on a material plane, and it is difficult to act on so-called abstract laws without being influenced by material persuasions. But man will never appreciate the higher values until he looks beyond the pale of materialism. The laboratories of science have contributed to the search which mankind is making for truth, but not alone will scientific skill reward our efforts. We must extract a few leaves from the book of solitude, submit our thoughts and problems to the understanding silence, then act upon that which is revealed from within. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.